Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the DOJ calls the police response to the mass shooting in Uvalde a complete failure. An attorney representing clients against Shamrock Products LLC addresses concerns after an oil spill at the Port of Victoria. Plus, a grandmother and 2 children survived a shooting spree in a home, the terrifying moments and how hiding under a bed helped them survive.
Tomorrow is going to be a windy day. Won't be as warm as today, but it'll be okay. It's Sunday when the big rainstorm begins. It's going to be here for maybe 4 or 5 days. We'll be talking about that one coming up in just a moment.
Plus, hear from the St. Joseph Lady Flyers coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia is on assignment. The boil water notice in Port Lavaca ended Thursday afternoon. The city of Port Lavaca's public water system has taken necessary corrective actions to restore the quality of the water used for drinking or human consumption purposes. Port Lavaca has provided to the TCEQ laboratory test results that indicate the water no longer requires boiling. A Victoria attorney is representing several clients as part of a lawsuit against Shamrock Products LLC following an oil spill at the Port of Victoria on January 3rd. The lawsuit claims the company's negligence led to the oil spill and failed to contain and prevent the toxic odorous chemicals from entering the atmosphere. It also claims the company failed to comply with emission standards set by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. Jim Cole of Cole, Easley and Skiba tells us his clients say the situation is getting worse, that there is still a very strong smell.
We have clients that have had to move out of their houses because the smell is so bad, probably going to end up having to have their homes treated by a professional, cleaning the carpets and draperies and things to get the odors out of their houses.
Cole added that it's up to the company, Shamrock Products LLC, to clean up the spill with oversight from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. 25-year-old Christopher Chandler was taken into custody by Lavaca County Sheriff's deputies Wednesday. Chandler is charged with assault of a public servant. He's in the Lavaca County Jail in lieu of $75,000 bond. A suspect in the Wells Fargo bank robbery in Port Lavaca has pleaded guilty to the charge. Mark Trevino pleaded guilty to robbing the bank in September 2022, and he also pleaded guilty to robbing 4 other banks in Texas and Louisiana. Trevino was arrested in October 22 after robbing the Chase Bank in Alexandria, Louisiana. Trevino was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison, and he has to pay restitution of $4,400. That's the amount he stole from the Wells Fargo Bank in Port Lavaca. 2 warming centers in Victoria are reopening starting at 5 p.m. Friday. Our Lady of Sorrows Trinity Hall, 204 West River Street, will be open until 8 a.m. Saturday. Everyone is welcome. The Salvation Army of Victoria headquarters, 1302 North Lewis Street, opens as a warming center anytime the temperature drops below 35 degrees or below 30 degrees in wind chill. Adult males are allowed overnight. The day center is open to all. Tuesday evening, the warming centers, 3 of them, housed 51 people total. And now let's take a first look at your forecast. Here's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Mac, we're finished with one cold front. Here comes another.
Yeah, but the one tomorrow is just going to be around for a day or so. We do have a frontal system that's going to blow through here and give us a northerly wind for Friday. But what I'm going to be looking at over the next couple of days is a tropical tap. In other words, we're going to have a tap of moisture coming up into our area, giving us a rain system, a rain event that's going to last for about 4 days. Looks like a soggy next week. We'll talk about that coming up in just a moment.
Mac, thank you. The Department of Justice releasing the results of a more than year-long investigation into police failures during the attack on Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, one of the worst school shootings in U.S. history. The report found failures at all levels of police leadership and comes after a series of probes into what went wrong that day.
A 600-page report, the Department of Justice finding officers failed to realize they were in an active shooter situation and didn't swiftly confront the gunman during the devastating school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, that took the lives of 19 children and 2 teachers in May of 2022. Speaking in Uvalde, Attorney General Merrick Garland calling the shooting response a failure, saying law enforcement leaders wasted valuable time treating the Uvalde gunman as a subject barricaded in a classroom rather than as an active shooter.
And it meant that the victims remained trapped with a shooter for more than an hour after the first officers arrived on scene.
Federal investigators blaming much of the botched response on Uvalde Police Acting Chief Mariano Pargas, who quit in the wake of the shooting, and Uvalde School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo, who was fired.
And I told the families gathered last night what I hope is clear among the hundreds of pages and thousands of details in this report. Their loved ones deserve better.
After years of calling for accountability, grieving Uvalde families meeting with the Attorney General before the report's release and reacting Thursday.
I hope that the failures end today and that local officials do what wasn't done that day. Do right by the victims and survivors of Robb Elementary.
This DOJ report, the latest in a series of investigations into the police response, including an extensive probe by Texas lawmakers. There's also an ongoing criminal investigation led by the Uvalde County District Attorney and the Texas Rangers into the police response to that school shooting. That investigation is expected to continue into this year. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Nearly 20 months after the Robb Elementary School shooting, 3 other investigations into the delayed police response have not been released to the public. The Texas Tribune reports the investigations include records from DPS, a criminal investigation from the Uvalde County District Attorney's Office, and the City of Uvalde's independent investigation. A Travis County State District judge ordered last November that the DPS release its records within 20 days. Attorney General Ken Paxton appealed on behalf of DPS. Here's your viewer poll this evening. Here's the question. What do you think is the most important area for improvement to prevent similar tragedies? Is it law enforcement training? Is it school safety and security, mental health support, or gun control and legislation? And the choice that had the highest percentage of votes, 60%. Gun control and legislation. We thank you for voting. We want to hear your opinion. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and I'll have an update on 25 News Now at 10. A grandmother and 2 children survived a shooting spree inside their home because they hid in a closet. Richmond police say Ulrich Barrett shot and killed his estranged wife, his brother-in-law, his sister-in-law, and his 8-year-old niece over the weekend. Officials say Barrett then shot and killed himself. Authorities say Barrett was at the house to return a child from visitation, and the grandmother let him inside the home. Barrett reportedly started shooting shortly after, and that's when the grandma hid and called 911. State authorities started arresting adult migrants at a public park in Eagle Pass late Wednesday evening. DPS posted video of arrests on the social platform X. DPS said these are the first migrant arrests at the park since the state took custody and control of the area a week ago. The migrants are being charged with criminal trespassing. DPS added migrant families and children who are being handed over to U.S. Border Patrol. Early voting for City of Victoria mayor runs through January 30th. Early voting is at the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center, 2805 North Devero, Classroom A, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. On the ballot, Josephine Solis, Peter Brown, Robert Bob Constantine, Jacob Sauceda, Carissa Winters, and Dwayne Crocker. Join us Saturday, February 3rd for complete coverage of the special mayoral election. For any residents who have an interest in getting involved with Victoria's government, you can apply to run for City Council. Residents can run for any of the 4 regular City Council District 1, 2, 3, and 4 seats. An informational session about the roles of City Council members will be held on February 6th at 10 a.m. at the City Council Chambers. That's 107 West Juan Lynn Street. The election is set for May 4th. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. A court of appeals strikes down Texas law mandating book ratings for schools. That's coming up on 25 News Now at 6. Also ahead, Attorney General Ken Paxton wants to end the whistleblower lawsuit. How he plans to do it this evening. Poll shows Texas voters are most concerned about two issues. KXAN reports the Emerson College Nexstar Media poll found immigration and border security was listed by 29% of voters as the top issue facing Texas. The economy finished second at 22%, followed by health care at 12%. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says he'll accept the judgment and won't contest the facts in the whistleblower case against him. The Texas Tribune reports the whistleblower sued for being fired after accusing Paxton of abuses in office. Paxton says he wants to end the lawsuit. The move came after he appeared to run out of options to reverse a Travis County judge's order that he and 3 top aides answer questions under oath. The Texas Supreme Court ruled against Paxton on that issue last week. Paxton paid $2.3 million to defense lawyers for his impeachment trial. The Texas Tribune reports the lawyers were paid from his campaign. It's the first time Paxton has had to disclose his campaign spending since July. Paxton has previously said his impeachment defense cost him over $4 million. In Texas, office holders are generally allowed to use campaign money to defend themselves in legal matters. The 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals is striking down a Texas law that would have required booksellers to rate their books based on sexual content before being allowed to do business with schools. The courts ruled Wednesday that not only would this law unconstitutionally force vendors to make evaluations they disagree with, but the cost would be crippling financially.
I just love getting lost in it. I love learning things. I'm kind of an information sponge.
Joseph Duloc visited Book People Wednesday to find another volume for the collection.
I buy a lot of books. My room is basically a library.
Customers like Deb Seaman are passionate about their local bookseller.
This is the best bookstore I have ever encountered, and I'm from New York.
Which joined many other Texas book vendors in a lawsuit to block House Bill 900, also known as the Readers Act. It would have forced them to rate each of their books based on the presence of sexual depictions or references before being able to do business with schools.
Booksellers can't be compelled to speak against their will, and that's what the state would be requiring under the book rating system.
Lord Prather is with Haynes and Boone, which represented Book People and the other plaintiffs in the lawsuit.
We are pleased that the 5th Circuit recognized that this book rating system would irreparably harm booksellers across the state of Texas.
House Bill 900 was authored by Texas State Representative Jared Patterson, who says he's disappointed by the court's decision. In a statement released on the social media platform X, he says in part, book vendors have an obligation to be aware of the content they are distributing, especially if that content is sexually explicit material in the hands of school children. But Prather says they estimate such a bill would have cost Texas bookstores anywhere from $4 million to $500 million.
It recognizes the crippling economic impact that this would have on independent business owners who are incredibly involved in their community.
As soon as you start telling people what you can read and what you can't read, you've gone too far.
You don't want to buy the books. School districts don't want to buy the books. Leave them out of it. I'm glad it got struck down.
Still in effect is the State Library Standards Clause. That requires the Texas State Library and Archives Commission to create a new standard that must ban school libraries from keeping sexually explicit materials. The freeze has also impacted sea turtles. KIII reports the Texas Sea Life Center on Padre Island has been busy nursing up to 50 cold-stunned sea turtles back to health. The center relies heavily on donations and volunteers to spearhead their work efforts, especially when it comes to treating cold-stunned sea turtles.
We're going to have to figure out how to get sweaters for the turtles. Turtleneck sweaters. Because every year, we have that problem is because our water is so shallow that temperature drops dramatically. Well, folks, right now we're at 62 degrees. The winds have settled down a little bit right now, but they're going to be very gusty tomorrow as we expect a frontal system to come through in the morning. We managed to get up to 73. It was almost balmy out there with a morning low of 41. Now tomorrow will be a little bit cooler. There'll be a north wind blowing and it'll make it chilly at night especially, but the big story for me is that by Sunday, we start getting a lot of rain moving in our direction. So we're going to talk about that coming up in just a moment. Well, good evening, everyone. We are looking at a pretty nice evening out there. Balmy temperatures. It felt like springtime today when you consider we were 21 degrees a couple nights ago. We also had, of course, this high deck of clouds rolling up on top of us, and you kind of wonder, well, where is it coming from? Well, we can follow it all the way back down into the Pacific Ocean, into the tropics. That is what we call a tropical tap. And that thing is going to get heavier or stronger on us over the weekend. And by Sunday, we may have some significant rainfall around here. So let's take a look at what's going on. Right about now, everybody is enjoying the 60s and a couple 70s still left out there. Pleasant evening with nice weather. Of course, the southerly winds kicked in and that really warmed us up. And then we got a southwest wind, which dried everything out. That's why it was so comfortable and balmy out there. But look at the morning lows for the next 5 days. Tomorrow morning, 42, not bad. The next morning, which would be Saturday morning, we're going to get down to freezing for maybe 2 or 3 hours overnight. And then it'll warm up into the 50s in the daytime. Then the low on Sunday's 38, and then all of a sudden 52, 58, we start getting quite balmy around here. We do have freeze advisories for the counties from our area all the way down. I don't know why they put that out. We already know that we've had a hard freeze already around the area. So here's what's happening in the weather world. We've got this low pressure, we've got this moisture here, and we've got nothing over our area right now, but this frontal system will be dropping down fairly rapidly. So by sunrise, we're going to have a fairly gusty northwest wind, probably 25, 30 miles an hour like that. And then high pressure is going to give us a good 1.5 days, okay? But then that is going to roll eastward. That's going to open up the Gulf door, and then we have to watch the west coast. That storm is a fairly significant storm. In other words, it's not compact. It is fairly broad area of low pressure. So in another map I'm going to show you, you see the rain? You see the rain? That's Monday. You see the rain? That's Tuesday. You see the rain? Could it be all the way to Wednesday? Yes. So here's the upper winds. These are up where the airplanes fly. And these are the subtropical jet. You can see it right there. You can see a big dip coming in here over the weekend. And that dip is going to start pulling that tropical moisture up into our area. You see right there? Now, also, this is going to have a big effect on all the winter weather. It's going to warm everybody up. And of course, it's going to give us quite a bit of rain. And you can see it goes through Tuesday. It goes through Wednesday, probably all the way to Thursday. Now, we get 4 days of rain like that, we may have some flooding problems early next week. So if you are doing anything outdoors, you need to plan on the fact that I'm looking at about 4 days of rain. So tomorrow morning, 45 in Port Lavaca, getting up into the 50s with the gusty wind, but still on the sunny side. 42 in the morning in Cuero, getting up to 50 in the afternoon, still on the sunny side. Your Saturday is okay after a chilly morning, but then Sunday we start looking for rain, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, wow, 4 days of heavy rain. That's going to be interesting to watch. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, but Crossroads today on your phone. Here's Don.
Thank you, Mac. And Zach Brown is here with your sports. Zach, this local basketball team you're focusing on tonight, it kind of reminds me of the Texans in a way.
That's right. I mean, the turnaround was just as incredible, and you will hear from them coming up in sports. The St. Joseph ladies have smashed all expectations this year, having the best year they've had in a while. I caught up with the Flyers at practice on what has changed over at the Dome. Second-year head coach MJ Johnson has his girls flying high with a 20-6 record, a huge improvement from a team that just a few years back only had one win on the year. Now they get ready for a tough next 3 games against all ranked opponents.
We're definitely excited. I think that's an understatement almost, though. I think these 3 games will be able to show what we've really been putting in, all the work and time and effort that all these girls have put forward.
The girls have been playing a lot more discipline this year and playing as one unit. A credit to the coaching that drills into them how to execute to perfection each time out on the court. And it was made easier because they desire to be better.
He's like really big on getting us to get a lot of reps in and work on plays a lot, make sure we like have it down, but also at the same time keeping us conditioned so we're staying in shape so we can make it through the game.
One of the biggest points that I noticed when I got the job was that they worked hard all the time. So I didn't have to really push work ethic. It's just teaching them how to play the game, because they desired to play the game well and they had all of the talent. They just didn't know what to do with it all.
Because of the confidence instilled into them from their coaching, the girls now feel like they can go toe-to-toe with any of these next 3 teams on their schedule.
I've told the girls that we're capable of beating everyone in our district, and with the #1 team in state in our district, they kind of didn't really believe it too much to start the year. They definitely didn't believe it as much last year.
He never makes us feel like we can't do something. We know we can, and he just pushes us to know that we're capable of doing everything he believes we're capable of doing.
They do play at home on Saturday at 10 in the morning, a big game. They're hoping for that home court advantage over at the Dome. But like I said, their next 3 all against ranked opponents. Now from the hardwood to the soccer pitch, the Victoria West ladies victorious. They squeezed by Flower Bluff 2-1. Both goals scored by Mia Ramirez, Kennedy Blow, and Abby Adcock each had an assist. Sienna sitting down, Ramirez had the goalkeeping duties. They are now 7-4 overall. They get Corpus Christi Vets on Tuesday. And back to basketball for a second. The East girls got the win yesterday, 52-36. Nevaeh Sanchez led the way with 13 points. Sanaya Randall also in double digits with 10. They only allowed 14 points in the second half, still undefeated in district play at 4-0. And the UHV Jaguars picked to finish number 4 for baseball in the Red River Athletic Conference. And I wouldn't be doing my job without telling you the Texans play right here on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Don, back to you.
Excellent job there, Zach. All right, thank you. We're back in a moment. A recent snowstorm in Iowa showed that Mother Nature does not wait for anyone, and neither do babies. And finally tonight, a recent snowstorm in Iowa prompted a doctor to deliver his patient's baby in a non-traditional way. Crystal Gardner needed to have her C-section, and it needed to be done Friday. Their family doctor, Chase Brown, was determined to get to the hospital despite several inches of snow. He took an ATV to the hospital, and he helped deliver their new baby girl. Berkeley Reign, spelled R-E-I-G-N, Gardner is healthy and joins a big family with 4 siblings. You know, if you make the wrong turn with an ATV in the snow, physician, heal thyself, because you could have another set of problems.
She avoided
right
those
there.
ambulance fees too. How about that one?
Well,
Yeah,
that's
cheaper too.
That's not. I guess in a snowstorm, you got to plan ahead for certain things.
But the doctor had a little black bag with him on his ATV going.
Oh yes, make way! I'm delivering.
Make way, to the right, to the right.
Well, we don't have snow coming our way, but rain.
Yeah, well, the rain is going to be a very interesting concept. First of all, tomorrow morning we're going to pick up a north wind, and it's going to be a little blustery. But not a bad day. It gets up into the 50s. Saturday is okay after a chilly start. It's Sunday. And, you know, I'm not used to putting 4 stormy days together in a row. Usually they come and they move. But if they stick together, we may have some problems with water next week. So we'll be certainly watching it.
All right. Thank you, Mac. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight, 25 News Now at 10.